In this video, we're going to explore indexed legal periodicals and books full text, a member database available to you, Jenkins members, 24/7 from your desktops at home or in the office. This database contains indexing of about 1,000 different legal journals, and many of them have full text. To access the database, mouse over Research, then Member Databases, and then select Indexed Legal Periodicals from the list. I've already logged in, as you can see here, with my last name and my Jenkins member number, so all I need to do to access the database is click on the blue Access button. Now, the name is rather complicated. Index to Legal Periodicals and Books Full Text. You got index and full text all in the same title. It can be a bit confusing, so I want to explore what exactly is contained in this database. So to do that, I'm going to click on Publications, and I'm going to search for a specific title. I'm going to be creatively lazy by indicating that I want to match any of the words, and I'm going to search for federal lawyer. And the title is indexed by this database. It was indexed beginning in 1995 to the present, but the full text coverage dates from toward the end of 1999 to the present. So for the first 4 years or so, it was just an index to the database, and then starting in late 99, they actually included full text articles. Another thing that is a little bit confusing about this database is the years of coverage. It looks as if the coverage ended toward the end of 2011, November of 2011. Now, I'm recording this video in late January of 2012. And in order to be sure exactly what the coverage is, you really do need to click on the title of the publication and not look here, but actually look on the right-hand side. This is, again, late January, and they do have issue 1 of this publication from January 2012. So there may be a little bit of misleading information there in terms of the years of coverage. I would just always recommend look on the right-hand side, and you'll see what issues have been received. Okay, so enough said about looking at individual titles. Let me do a search of the entire database. And you could do a basic search, and we're all used to Google now. We have a box and a button, and that's all we need. Well, I recommend that people look at advanced search whenever possible. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. I mean, look at all the individual limits here. But it also can be not just overwhelming, but illuminating, because I can say, oh, wow, look, I can limit my search to a title search, which is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to look for the term software patents. Okay, do a search. Now I have 95 hits for software patents. Now you notice I didn't use any of the other limits on the search page, and I'll tell you why. Most of them are available on the results page, and a lot of times it's better, it's easier to get your head around the limits when you see them on the results page as opposed to seeing them up front before you do your search. Let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about. I've got 95 hits for software patents. Let's say, I really want full text. Well, if I click the full text box, and you'll note you'll have to click the update button. It doesn't do it automatically for you. It drops my results from 95 to 11. Now, if that's okay with, and I really want full text articles, then I'm okay with that. But I realize, when you see those numbers, you realize you dropped 84 articles that way. I can also apply other limits. The other one that I use a lot is the publication limit. And I could say, I want all the full text articles from Federal Lawyer that talk about software patents in the title. So I click the update button again, and I've got 1. Well, let's say maybe that's a little too restrictive. 1 hit may not be what I really want, and maybe I want a range. Well, it's easy to remove a limit by clicking on the orange X here, and boom, now we're back to the 11 hits that we started with. Okay, so that's a really quick run around with the limits, but I like dealing with them here rather than dealing with them at the search level. Okay, let's look at viewing one particular article and sort of pick it apart. I'm going to start with HTML full text, which is right here. This gives you the full text of the article. Okay, now there are 2 things you can do here that are nice, but they're awfully slow. You can translate from English to other languages. I like that, but it's not anywhere near as fast as I'm used to, say, with Google. But if you do need a translation of an article, that can be helpful. You can also download an MP3 or listen to the article, but that can also take a while to occur. In fact, I've never successfully waited to the end of getting an MP3. It can take a while for that to churn. I'm not saying it doesn't work, I'm just saying they're slow. So translate and download audio can be slow. In the HTML, I'm not a big fan of this version. Let me show you why. Let's say you want to save this article. the full text of this article in HTML text. If you click the Save button over there in the tools, you have to click Save again, and it tells you basically to use your browser to save this as a text file. Well, that can get pretty ugly. You're going to get run into text. It's just going to run along, and it's really hard to read this and hard to scan. So I don't recommend using the HTML version of the articles. What I recommend that you do is that you click on the PDF full text. When I'm in PDF, I ignore the tools on the right hand side because I use the Adobe Acrobat controls down here, and now I can save this article. And it will save it for me. Now here's an interesting thing. Look at the name there. File name is RS7. When you do download PDFs, you're going to have to make sure that you call it something useful that you can remember, because RS7 doesn't mean anything. I'm just going to go ahead and save it. I won't take the time to do that. And as the PDF downloads, then you can click on it and it will open up in your Adobe Acrobat viewer, and you'll have all the controls that Adobe Acrobat gives to you. And you can see that this is a 46-page article. Okay, what else can you do? Well, I'm going to go back to the detailed record for this particular article, and I want to show you a couple of things that are useful here. One of the things is, if you find subjects that are a little bit broader than your search, remember we search software patents in the title, we could, for example, broaden our search by clicking on patent infringement, and what it will do is it'll do a search for patent infringement for us and broaden our search. In this case now we have 990, and now I can apply the full text limit and so forth and so on. You can possibly run into this using the Jenkins online catalog or even Amazon, where you pull up a book that you're interested in and then you broaden your search to a different sort of a higher level by clicking on the subject categories. Okay. Now, one other thing, while I'm here in the results page, I want to mention that the documents are presented by a relevance sort, like most of the other search engines you're used to, Google and so forth. The only sort that I really find useful is a date descending. So I can resort them by date order in descending order, and that is also that's about the only sort that I mess around with on the results page. I think the other ones are nice to have, but I hardly ever use. But I use that one the most. So that is a quick review of Index to Legal Periodicals and Books Full Text.